Your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Thanks for joining us here, Pacifica Live, hosted by Pacifica Senior Living. We come to you every other Monday at 7 p.m., so if you're joining us on Facebook, be sure to like and share. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Pacifica Live. I am your host, Business Development Director Melinda Pollard with Pacifica Senior Living, and we've got a jam-packed show for you today, so please make sure if you are already eating dinner that you grab that plate and get in front of your computer or listening to your radio or you're on Roku or you're on Fire Stick. Wherever you are listening to us today, make sure you tune in for the next hour and don't miss a minute. Make sure you also, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, if you could just like and share and make sure everyone else is tuning in tonight too. Remember, we're only every other Monday, so you don't get us every week. So this is a treat, okay? So today's show is complete with a showing of our The Person I've Always Been resident interview series, along with the Happiness Chromosome Poetry Corner, which you're going to hear more about that if you're not already familiar with it. We're also going to be talking about our events that are coming up with our Pacifica communities here in South Florida, and we have a special guest, which I will be introducing to you here in the later part of the show. But meanwhile, let's get right into our next events. As you all know, we have 4 communities here in South Florida. You've got Pacifica Sunrise, you've got Pacifica Forest Trace, our flagship community there in Lauderhill, and you also have our 2 in Palm Beach, the Meridian at Lantana, and Pacifica Palm Beach, which is our memory care. It's a specialized memory care community with a cottage style format. Very unique and very interesting. Make sure you reach out to me to get your tour today. Also, we would love for you to call into today's show. So dial 888-565-1470 with any questions, any comments, or if you just want to join the fun in the chat today, please call 888-565-1470. If you're listening on the radio, I'll do my very best to talk through anything that's coming up on the screen so that you stay in the loop as well. So the first event that I want to talk about today is actually being held at Pacifica Forest Trace. And so we'll pull up that flyer there, and this is our Jazz and Tea. Now, guys, this is an unofficial flyer, so just in case anyone sees it and says, wait, that's not a Pacifica corporate flyer, we know. But this is the flyer that one of our sponsors, First Atlantic Healthcare, is going to be using, and so we thought we'd show it to you today, and it's beautiful. You see the trees there. So for all of you who don't know, Pacifica Forest Trace is a 72-acre cypress reserve property with a 34-acre lake. It is beautiful. It's gorgeous. Everyone that comes to Pacifica Forest Trace is always amazed to know that this little secret rendezvous is back behind these trees. So this is your opportunity to see it. If you know a senior that has never been to our property or has been to our property and would love to sit down and enjoy jazz and tea, you want to make sure that they RSVP for this event. Now, the RSVP number on this flyer is with First Atlantic Healthcare. So you can dial 954-540-3092 to RSVP for this event. It's on May 11th, and it is from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. We will be being swooned over by Moonchild. She is a local Miami artist who specializes in accompanying your tea. So it's Jazz and Tea at Pacifica Forest Trace. Again, that is on May 11th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And it is a RSVP required event because space is limited. So if you know a senior, you want to make sure they come, or if you want to come, we love for everybody to join us, but space is limited. So again, RSVP with First Atlantic Healthcare at 954-540-3092. We look forward to seeing you there. All righty. And our next event is being hosted the very next day at another Pacifica property, the Meridian at Lantana. And it is the Springtime Shindig. Guys, this is going to be so much fun. So instead of being a drive-through event, it's a walk-through event. So you'll come to Meridian at Lantana. You'll be greeted in the lobby, go on to the courtyard for refreshing drinks, and then onto the pub and pool area. It's a really special area that they have back there that I've never seen at another independent living assisted living, because it gives you the pub vibes as well as a poolside access as well. So there they'll be doing hors d'oeuvres, appetizers, formulated by our chef Steve there at Meridian at Lantana. And then you'll walk on through to one of the lovely rooms that they have set up for you, one of our model rooms. And there you will get a dinner to go. So this is a jam-packed hour of you being able to walk through the beautiful community at Meridian at Lantana, get refreshing drinks, enjoy appetizers, and also a take-home dinner. And that's going to be, again, on May 12th, and that is at 3 to 5 p.m. And you want to make sure that you also RSVP for that. That also is limited. So if you know a senior that you would love to bring along, please feel free, again, to RSVP 561-473-5129. RSVP is required. And if you're not able to join us, don't fret. We will have a lot of different engaging events for our community here in the near future. But if you're special, you'll get a chance to come to this one. So make sure you RSVP today. Again, 561-473-5129. That is the Springtime Shindig at the Meridian at Lantana. All righty. That was a lot to say in one breath. I don't think I breathed. Alrighty, so guys, we're going to get into our next segment here, which we are always excited to show this. We will have a new interview coming shortly, but this one, by request, I am replaying this one. This is The Person I've Always Been with Gail Banter. She is a resident there at Pacifica Forest Trace, 10 years, and I think you'd be amazed at what value she still gives to life. And I think it's important for us to know that with independent living and assisted living, there's a misconception that somehow moving to independent living and assisted living means that life is almost over. And that's far from the truth. It provides you the opportunity to still have this amazing quality of life, to be able to focus on you. And it's like living on a cruise ship. So Gail is such an excellent person to interview, and I'm so happy that she was the first resident to be interviewed for The Person I've Always Been, and we'll play that right now.
I'm Gail Banter.
Now, and Gail, would you mind sharing how many times you've been around the sun? Is that, do we ask?
No, I'm proud of every year.
Yes.
I gained. I will be 83 this year.
83.
But remember one thing, my child, the soul never gets old. It's only the wrinkles. But it is very important that people will know that even though someone looks like a real has-been, there is that old person is still lurking inside, asking for expression, and we should really acknowledge it, because there are societies that really hold the aged with great respect, yes. And there are societies that are very consumeristic and so on, and yes. Suddenly they make a lot of older people feel like a used diaper, pardon my grossing, like disposables. And I think that we have to start a new thinking, that people can be creative, people can work in the government and lead the whole nation, even after the age of 70.
Yes,
Definitely.
You've lived here at Forest Trace for how long?
I'm here about 10 years.
10 years? And were you originally here in the Broward area before you moved in? Or?
Actually, I was in Boca Raton.
Okay.
I lived in a big, sprawly house, the country club lifestyle.
Nice.
And then I decided that maybe I should change my whole direction in life, as I was growing older, and I think today in retrospect that it was the best decision I've ever made.
Really?
Because going through the COVID era, surrounded by my friends, and we are such a tight group of people, compared to knocking about alone in a big house, that's when you decide that, wealth is not really always a balm to your source. The warmth and the friendship is becoming a real,
It's
a
important.
real element in your life.
It is. That's you start to understand what's important.
I'm starting to think that senior residences are really the direction that our society, especially here in Florida, and you see they're popping up. I think that's the direction that it's going to go, because you have theater, you have swimming pool, tennis, you have bicycling, you have a lake, you have everything that a senior needs concentrated in a small area, and it answers so many needs.
Right. And I know for you in your apartment here, you've been able to make this your own little space as well. You've got your office, you do your
Right.
writing, you relax it, you're comfortable
It's
here.
my little haven, it's my little executive retreat. And believe me, I'm a person who needs a place to create. I need a place to sit and think up a poem, because I like writing poetry and I publish poetry.
Right.
And I need the quiet, the serenity, the music in the background, the ambiance.
Yeah. And speaking of your poetry, you actually have written and published books since you've been here
Yes.
at Pacifica Forest.
Just in the last couple of years, in the COVID era, I wrote a book called Cloister Oyster, which explains to the world why I'm so suited to monastic life, if you call it a monastic life. And it's just a book about everyday life occurrences and how you can look at them from a totally different vantage point and make them alive and so on. It's connectable.
Right.
And then I wrote a book called Epiphany, Tiffany. A lot of it is the women's movement, Me Too, and this woman has an epiphany. It's in the middle of Tiffany's, where she decided, I don't want to be an arm candy anymore. I want to be me at any cost. Let me be free. I'm not just a blonde with a mink coat.
Right. I love that. And is that a fictional novel?
It's also a book of verse.
Okay.
I just write poetry,
Okay.
but that was
And tell the story.
the epiphany
Yes.
was that, and that after that I started the whole book, but that gave me the little launch for the book. And then I wrote, in the COVID time, I wrote, this book is called The Happiness Chromosome,
Yes,
which
I
became a pivotal belief of mine, that you can manufacture happiness under the oddest conditions.
Yes.
Yeah. People ask me, is it that you see the glass half full all the time and I see the glass half empty? I said, no, I see the glass refillable all the time.
I love it.
You go to the bar and say, give me a refill. You can always start fresh again. Every day can be the beginning of a new experience. And because of that, and we have that ability to rebuild again,
Yes.
and recreate and reinvent ourselves,
Right.
and come up with a person we didn't even know was inside us.
Right.
I have not changed. I was a teacher and a public speaker, a motivational speaker. My theme used to be how to be a successful divorcee, how to be a successful retiree, and even the process of easing into death can be pleasant if you know how to make it so. It does not need to be fraught with horrendous, horrible things. It's all an approach and preparation
Yes.
and discipline.
Yes, that is so wonderful.
Yes.
That is such a beautiful way
It
to,
is.
to think. To
People
have,
are starting to think now
Yeah.
in a direction, because don't forget, we live to such a longer age than our forefather did.
Right.
You know, the average lifespan has changed, and with it, the demands for a new attitude, maybe.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
right. So right.
Yeah.
Now, I know during your time you've done a lot of traveling,
Oh, yes.
and your apartment is filled with African art. So tell us a little bit about your travels.
Well, actually, I graduated my first love, which is a long story, and I won't belabor you with it, but it was Japanese. I was enamored with the whole thing Japanese, and I went to school. When I was young, I drew Japanese pictures, and there's no television, no books, and the kindergarten teacher asked my mother, how come all the children grow trees that the branches go up, and mine, the branches went down. And when I grew older, I was fascinated with the Japanese art, with everything, with the attention to detail, with the whole Japanese thinking, the societal thinking. So I went to school, and I got a degree in Chinology, and I went to Japan to write a thesis about the Taiwanese brinkmanship, which started in 1938 when Chiang Kai-shek left China to create Taiwan.
Okay. How old were you then?
I was younger, much younger. I was in my late 20s.
So
Yeah.
you've got a chance. So after doing some studying abroad,
Right.
where after that?
I came back, and after a few years, I landed up in America, starting fresh again. I came to Fort Lauderdale, and I sampled everything that everybody else who comes to Fort Lauderdale
Right.
samples, the market.
Right.
But I was very upmarket. I landed up with a company in the floral industry, international floral industry, just like FTD.
Okay.
I got the Canadian markets because I knew Canada. Like, I think in 3 days I learned to speak flowers. Like I was a horticulturalist all my life.
Right.
And I knew nothing about flowers. And I became the marketing director. So we had to do a lot of really high-class deals.
Right.
And I learned my way, and I climbed the corporate rungs,
Okay.
and I made it.
Great. And now, obviously, we hear your beautiful accent.
Oh my
And-
God. I'll never get
No, it's
rid of it.
beautiful. Don't ever lose it. Where is it rooted in?
Well, I was born in Israel. My parents spoke Hungarian, and part of that is probably embedded in there, because a lot of people ask me, are you Hungarian by any chance? And I'm really Israeli with a Hungarian accent.
When did you leave Israel?
I left Israel in the 60s,
Okay.
and my parents left Israel before the 60s. The relatives were here, and I calling them to be with them in New York. And I did not want to leave Israel. I was a child of 17
Right.
with a boyfriend, and the army beckoned me. I thought, what an adventure it would be to go to the Israeli army and learn to shoot guns. and so I remained. And when I finished my army duty, got married, and we were going to have a family, we traveled to Canada. My husband finished his PhD in social psychology. We lived, but the accent never left me.
Right.
And I thought maybe after a few years, I'll become more Americanized, but it's a stamp,
That's good. That's good. That's your piece that no one can take away from you.
And it's hard to lose because in our language, we don't have long vowels.
Right,
It's a clipped language like French.
Right.
If you speak French and you try to learn English, you will never speak American like an American.
And that's because of the clip versus the
Yes,
elongated.
yes, it's a very short, like you can't say the word read, you say read.
Read.
You don't have the long I
Right, right.
or the double E.
Right.
So it is such an adjustment, you know, and the lilt and the pitch. And another thing, you learned to speak English phonetically. You heard it, and so there was only one way for you to say it. We learn it from books, and the books don't tell you how to pronounce it. When you see the word Shakespeare, you really see Shakespeare. You don't see Shakespeare,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So you have no idea if you learn the language visibly, visually,
Right.
you don't know exactly what is the proper, for instance, yesterday I was struggling with the word. You know when you covet something?
You covet, yes.
Okay, but when you look at something in a covetic way,
Covetousness. Yes.
covetousness, I
Yes.
could not, for the life of me, say covetousness.
Covetousness. That is too funny.
Yeah, and then when you get older, and there comes a day that you start reaching for a word, and your brain says no go, and then you start really trying to connect things in a certain way, so you'll be still talking without falling all over yourself.
Right.
And it happens, believe me,
Well,
to anybody.
I love the way that you speak.
Thank you.
And I look forward to being able to delve more into the happiness chromosome. I think we all need a little happiness right now.
Thank you.
And of course, your beautiful apartment. I love the modern-esque vibe and feel. It's just relaxed.
I'm crazy about tribal art, as you
Yeah.
can see.
Yes, I know. I love it. I think you got things on the door, you got things up on the credenza here and everywhere. It's such a lively place. Like it breathes life.
Thank you.
into
Thank
a
you so
space.
much.
So, Gail, thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with us today, and we look forward to talking to you more.
Thank you for visiting with me. It's always a pleasure
Aw,
to see you here.
Thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for watching The Person I've Always Been. That was our resident Gail Banter at Pacifica Forest Trace. We enjoy her so much so that the happiness chromosome that you saw there in that video series, I've got it right here, and we do the happiness chromosome poetry corner now on every show because of her. And I know many of you have asked, how do I purchase said book? And the answer to that question is call me. 954-773-5860. Call me, text me, and I will get you connected with Gail in order to order your own copy of The Happiness Chromosome. Now, of course, you can go back and rewatch all of our past shows, and you will see some of the other poetry pieces that we've aired here on The Happiness Chromosome, read by Aidan Pollard. And we've got another one for you today. Now, this one is from her piece called Intra-Constellation Travel. I think you'll enjoy it. So we're going to go ahead and play that now, and we will be right back.
Space. Is it an illusion born of confusion? To some it is a symphonic orchestration of myriad pulsations and celestial vibrations, of magical showers of meteors and shooting stars from near and far. Linearity? A word we truly treasure, if only we could aptly measure. But could it be that lines misbehave and sometimes ride invisible waves? How about the helter-skelter theory, called randomization. It has a modern appeal to our imagination, but somehow I cling to the notion that the cosmos is well organized and nothing in our verse is truly randomized. Yet there's another theory, that you and I, no matter how hard we tried, simply could not deny that life indeed is energy, and our attraction was an odd synergy. Though we were born of polarity, we took to each other with a magnetic hilarity. Although our directions were first opposed, yet in time we grew incredibly close. Now we traverse, despite of our curse, defying the laws of the universe, unafraid of randomly falling rocks. The cosmos is still a mystery, and life, a paradox.
All right, that was the Intra-Constellation Travel, read by Aidan Pollard, by Gail Banter. And again, if you'd like your copy of the Happiness Chromosome, which many of you have asked, feel free to give me a call at 954-773-5860 or text me, probably the easiest way to reach me. And I'd be happy to get you in contact with Gail and for you to get your own copy of her book. And you can also join us here every other Monday on Pacifica Live. And we will be always doing the Happiness Chromosome for as long as she has pieces for Aidan to read. And there's a few more, so stay tuned for those. All right, guys, so we are going to go to commercial break. When I come back, I'm going to be introducing you to tonight's guest, Sobi Innovative Rehabilitation. We've got about 10 people in studio today. I'm kidding. We've got the team from Sobi, and we're going to get right to them right after this message. Pacifica Senior Living is proud to do what we love and truly believe in providing compassionate, personalized care that ensures dignity and respect for all of our residents. We'd love for you to join the Pacifica Senior Living family and settle into one of our senior living communities here in sunny South Florida that will have you or your loved ones enjoying your retirement years to the fullest. Contact us today to join the Pacifica Senior Living family. We can't wait to welcome you home. Call 954-543-0773. Thanks for joining us here, Pacifica Live, hosted by Pacifica Senior Living. We come to you every other Monday at 7 p.m., so if you're joining us on Facebook, be sure to like and share. All right, welcome back to Pacifica Live. I am your host, Melinda Pollard, Business Development Director with Pacifica Senior Living here in South Florida. And we have our guest today, Sobi Innovative Rehabilitation. Say hello, people.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All righty.
Good evening.
So we're going to let them introduce themselves. And the reason why is because it is Monday, and I have been known to see, I couldn't even say stumble was the word I was looking for, but I was about to say skip. Skip and stumble are very close, but I was going to stumble over their names. So we're going to let them introduce themselves tonight. And you first, Dr. Sobi.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Nkuma Saba Jr., CEO of Sobi Innovative Rehabilitation.
Hi, good evening. My name is Simone Dunkley, Executive Vice President of Sobi Innovative Rehabilitation.
Hello, my name is Marina. I'm with Sobi Innovative Rehab Business Development.
Awesome. And so this is the Sobi team. And of course, there are other people on the Sobi team, but these are the people that I talk to the most. And so I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for coming in studio.
Absolutely.
Of course.
To talk
Anytime.
tonight. And as always, guys, we keep it really informal. So if you've already gotten your tea or your coffee or you're starting on your dessert from your dinner, go ahead and sit down and stay tuned over these next few minutes. They're super short. They're going to go by really fast, so you don't want to miss a minute. Alrighty. So, guys, Sobi, people are always asking me what does that stand for, because they think the S, the O, the B, and the E are an acronym or something. But tell us about Sobi Innovative. What does it mean, and how did you get started?
Yeah, I get that a lot. You know, being in Miami, Sobi, South Beach, but that's actually my last name. Coincidence, didn't plan that at all. But yeah, I mean, we are outpatient Part B organization. where we specialize in the rehabilitation for the elderly community. Why? Because we've realized that that's really an overlooked population. I get it all the time. You know, why would you do therapy with this individual, that individual? Because they might have dementia or they might be very high in the age bracket. But it's important to have a proactive, preventative nature when delivering therapy to ensure that these residents thrive throughout these golden years.
It's so important. And I think that what you guys are doing is different. Obviously, we know that rehabilitation happens on a lot of different levels, whether that be the acute, directly from the hospital.
You're hungry.
I obviously need speech therapy today. Can you guys help me with that?
Absolutely.
And obviously our short-term rehab stays. We know there are other rehabilitation companies, but you guys do something special, and that really is why they are on the show today, because of the partnership that Pacifica is doing with SOBI in some of our communities, where you're actually coming inside and serving our residents in our Pacifica senior living community. So tell us about your format. Like, how does that look when you go into an assisted living? What does that look like?
So more than anything, what makes us different is the mission of our organization is to revolutionize how therapy is being provided, again, to the elderly population. So the old paradigm is a more reactive model, where someone gets injured, somebody goes to the hospital, somebody fractures something, that's when you want to implement therapy. Well, we deliver a proactive, preventative model. The same thing like a car. If you don't do any kind of tune-ups, you don't do any kind of maintenance for your car, your engine can go, your transmission can go at 50,000 miles.
Yeah.
But if you are having that regimen, that quarterly regimen, that annual regimen to intervene and address all the needs of your body, of your engine, of your car, then you'll be going 200, 300,000 miles, no problem. So we end up taking that model and delivering it into our communities that we partner
The
with.
preventative approach, which
Exactly.
is so much better in life altogether. We don't want to wait until there's an event
Right.
to now start looking at therapy or any other measures. We want to think about how do we make life better right now
Right.
to keep you from getting to the point where therapy is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think one of the biggest things too is that we're not a third-party provider. We are a partner, so we're actually a part of the team. There's no division in between both, so we make it known that we're here to help you. Whatever it is that can make it easier for you. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I know that there is a story behind the start of you going into physical therapy and starting this company. Let's just backtrack just for a minute. Tell me about that.
I mean, it depends on who you speak with.
Okay.
Right? If you speak with my mother, she would say that she cared for the elderly population when she was pregnant with me, and that's why I have an affinity to the elderly community. If you ask me, it's very different. When I went to get my doctorate in rehabilitative sciences and physical therapy, I wanted to treat the classic athletes, MLS players, NFL players, NBA players. But when I went on my first residency in graduate school is when I went to a skilled nursing facility. And applying therapy and addressing the needs of the population and having the goal of going back home to your spouse, going back home independently, reclaiming your independence and your life, your everyday quality of life. Well, there's no better gratification than that as a therapist. So that's really, in my view, where my passion grew for
Okay.
therapy for the elderly.
Right, right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So now, Simone, Marina, I know that you guys are the A-team that most people are seeing on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
And I have the luxury of talking with them often and getting tea from them often. That's an inside joke. Don't worry about that.
Right. Real tea.
But Simone, I know that you have been in this industry for a while as well. Tell us about your background.
Absolutely. So I've actually been working with geriatrics for about 10 years. I've been a nurse for 10 years, director of nursing for the last 10 years also. And I've been working with Sobe Innovative Rehab for the last almost 5 years. And what really touched me is the cognitive therapy program that Dr. Sobe built based on COVID. And when I found out about that program, it really touched me. It really made me feel, it really made me listen and hear the heartaches of all the residents.
Right.
Working as a nurse, it's one thing, but actually being able to do something and go back into floor care and putting your hands on patients again is another. And it's really difficult when you hear somebody at 90 years old saying, is this how I'm going to live my life? Am I going to die in jail? Those things really bother you. And you see residents going from independent living all the way straight to memory care, or you see residents just depressed and dying from depression and nobody there, to be able to support them. They only have us. And it's very important for therapy, whether it's occupational, physical, speech, to actually go into the room and have a great encounter, because that can be their last encounter. We are there actually to prevent them from falling. And well, we can't prevent them from falling, but prevent them from having issues. Residents with weak gaits, instabilities, working with them, gradually bringing them back to something that can actually make them feel like there's something again. It's really important.
Right. Now, and when we talk about therapy, most people think of therapy, they think of physical therapy, right? They think purely of, let me make sure I'm walking straight. But what are the other therapies that most of us don't think about?
That's a great question. So I break it down very simply that occupational therapy are the therapies prior to leaving home.
Yes.
So you having the independence and the strength and the balance and the function to be able to dress yourself, upper body dressing, lower body dressing, putting on your shoes, to groom yourself, put on your makeup, comb your hair, to be able to bathe yourself, to be able to cook for yourself. The standing tolerance to be able to do all of those activities prior to leaving home are so important, and that's what occupational therapy takes care of. Now, once you leave the home, let's say, now physical therapy kicks in to be able to get down your steps once you're exiting your home, to be able to walk to get to the door in the first place and have the balance and the strength to be able to do so. And then speech therapy, they do two main things. Communication, so to help out with speech impairments, and also swallowing, to make sure that you have the independence and the safety to eat in an appropriate manner so that you don't aspirate, which is essentially choking, swallowing down the wrong pipe.
Right. And guys, I don't know about you, but those aren't things that we often think about when we think about therapy, or recognize that there are therapeutic options for those things, right? So even like, let's say with the speech therapy and you have someone Parkinson's, is speech therapy something that could be beneficial to someone that has a diagnosis of Parkinson's?
Absolutely. There's actually, we've licensed a lot of our therapists in LSVT. So for speech therapists, it's called the LSVT Allowed certification.
Right.
And it's all about being able to have a resident with Parkinson's to be able to speak more audibly when that gets difficult throughout the progression of the Parkinson's impairment.
So those are things, again, I don't think most people think of, especially once they determine that there is a diagnosis of Parkinson's, that there are therapies. And I did some research because I happened to have recently had a family member that potentially could have had Parkinson's. So we started doing some research.
Right.
And therapy is actually listed as the number one
Absolutely.
go-to treatment
Correct.
when you are diagnosed with Parkinson's, because as we all know, there aren't any cures for Parkinson's, and there aren't a ton of medical treatments just yet, and therapy is that number one thing.
Correct.
Very good. Very
Correct.
good. So now, Sobe Innovative Rehabilitation, you also have a business development director, Marina, and you have Simone. When you guys are talking to the communities, for instance, you're in many assisted living communities, but you're also in people's homes as well, too.
Yes.
And what does that look like to go to someone's home and do therapy in their home?
That's important because, someone's home ends up being their environment that they have to be able to function in. So, when we actually do a home assessment, which is the initial evaluation for a resident in their home, we end up seeing first what's safe about it. Are they able to get into bed safely, get on and off their favorite sofa safely, locomote around their home to make sure that there aren't any fall risks present, and same thing with whoever they're living with. You know, the entire home situation. So you end up being a quasi social worker to make sure that is this patient safe in their home dwelling. And then, you know, once we clear that everything is safe, you know, the transportation, how are you getting your meals and so forth, you checked all the boxes, you know, that's when we end up starting to address what their actual impairments are. Some patients might be shoulder, knee, balance, just overall, you know, strength decline. So we end up addressing those needs. But a difference of therapy in the ALF versus the home is it's definitely more a broad, holistic approach.
Okay, very good. Now, a little funny thing about me, when people are talking, I'm always listening, and then they may say a word that may make me laugh a little bit. So I don't know if anyone saw me smirk. I'll just let you into my mind. He used the word locomote, and I was like, oh, like a train. And I don't know why that tickled me, so I just haven't heard that word in a long time.
I have a 4-year-old. Okay.
In relation to trains, so I was thinking of trains. But anyway. All right, guys. So one of the things that I really love about therapy is that it is age. It knows no age, right?
Correct.
We know that everyone, including our seniors, but even people like myself who are the ripe old age of 40, can feel those things happening in your body that are that mean you're not using your body as much as you should, right? So tell me, for the people that are watching, just one or two things that they could be doing on a daily basis. Outside, of course, we want people to call Sobe, right, when they need help.
I mean,
But
that'd be
just
nice.
from a preventative standpoint, what are some things people could be doing when they wake up in the morning to keep their body locomoting?
Okay, so first I want to address one of the things you said, that, you know, everybody knows that, you know, therapy is beneficial for the entire landscape of life.
Right.
That's, I wish that were true.
Okay.
But that's not true at all.
Okay.
You know, we speak to a lot of, whether it's, you know, family members or physicians out there that, for lack of a better term, drive me crazy. Or when I hear that therapy would not be beneficial for somebody 65 and up, 70 and up, or someone with dementia, it could not be more false. And what I hear a lot is, well, they're not going to remember what you did yesterday. That's true. If they might not remember my name, but their body is going to remember the neuromuscular reeducation that I facilitated them through, so that they have better balance. Their body is going to remember the resistance that I applied to their muscle groups, their quads, their biceps, their hamstrings, so that they can have better posture, so that they can tolerate ambulating for a farther distance to improve their quality of life, to make sure that they thrive in their stationary cruise ship, assisted living.
Right.
So again, they may not remember my name, but their body is going to remember the difference that we impacted for them.
Yes.
So what was your actual question?
What can we do? What can we do?
Yes. What can you do? I was asked this question a lot during COVID, actually. So the number one thing, call a friend, call a family member, get out of your house, take a nice walk around your neighborhood. You know, a family walk with your kids, with your spouse, with a friend, or just a phone call to enjoy the day. But that's one of the best things, and really the easiest thing that you can do is simply exit your home instead of getting into the car, walk around the neighborhood. Another thing is being proactive, and I mean this. You know, even my parents would fit into this criteria. If you feel something, call someone. You know, call a therapist. Don't let the impairment cascade to the point where it's so much more serious and severe than it needed to be. So you just want to be proactive and preventative in nature. Speak to your doctor, get a therapy consultant, even if it's a phone call, to address those concerns before it becomes an adverse incident.
Yeah, no, and I think that that's pretty much a life hack, right? In everything that we do, get help, talk to someone.
Yes.
And if you did not know that therapy was an option of someone that you could call when you have things that you don't understand, a therapist is a great first call to make. Obviously, if you're bleeding, call 911. Okay. But I believe in therapy, and it has a lot to do, because not that all medicine's not bad, but I do believe that there is something innate inside of us, that our brain communicates with our body, and when our body is moving, it's actually communicating back with our brain, and it's keeping everything, like a well-oiled machine. So therapy is so important, and one of the things that I love about what Pacifica is doing right now is partnering with vendors, community partners like yourself, who are taking that load off of our staff every day to help our residents get moving. Because, one of the things that you'll find in independent living, assisted living, memory care is that, of course, we're doing human care, right? We are taking care of people's daily needs. We are addressing their wants and their dislikes and the things that are considered luxury, right? Those everyday things. But one of those things you don't always think of from a holistic standpoint is moving the body intentionally so that it's actually getting the movement that it needs. So it's not just getting up from my chair to walk down to dinner, right? That wasn't a lot of movement that you did. And maybe then you walked to your chair for activities. That also was not significant enough movement, and that's why therapy is so important, I feel. And take it from me, I'm not a therapist, but I play one on TV. Okay. All right.
I mean, that was a big, component of the mission of our organization, was really seeing where the holes lie in these assisted living communities.
Yeah.
Physically,
Right.
Addressing those physical concerns, identifying the needs and addressing those needs with a systematic approach. So we have a 10-step process to address that, again, proactively, to be able to lengthen the stay and the successful aging in place of the residents, to make sure that they thrive, and that's why, our data shows that under our comprehensive therapy model, the residents that we serve have over twice as long of a length of stay in the communities that they reside in, because we're able to prevent and mitigate those adverse incidents from
Right.
occurring in the first place, preventing falls, reducing hospitalization, and you end up enjoying your stay in that stationary cruise ship.
And that's what this is all about. That's why we're all here. We're not just here in the event to take care of somebody when they have an event.
Right.
We're here to help prolong life, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Quality of life, not just prolong life, but
Right.
quality of life.
And
so
giving them the ability to age in place.
exactly,
That's the
aging
most
in
important
place.
thing, yes.
Right, safely, right? So we're going to go to a little quick commercial. Don't forget that you can call into the show if you would like to also make little comments about if maybe your brain also thought of a train when he said locomote. Call in, tell us that, or maybe you have an actual valid question. So you can dial 888-565-1470. We're going to go to a quick commercial, and I come back. We're going to continue talking with Sobe Innovative Rehabilitation. Pacifica Senior Living is proud to do what we love and truly believe in providing compassionate, personalized care that ensures dignity and respect for all of our residents. We'd love for you to join the Pacifica Senior Living family and settle into one of our senior living communities here in sunny South Florida that will have you or your loved ones enjoying your retirement years to the fullest. Contact us today to join the Pacifica Senior Living family. We can't wait to welcome you home. Call 954-543-0773. Thanks for joining us here, Pacifica Live, hosted by Pacifica Senior Living. We come to you every other Monday at 7 p.m., so if you're joining us on Facebook, be sure to like and share. All right, guys, we are back. Melinda Pollard, Director of Business Development with Pacifica Senior Living, and our guest tonight, Sobe Innovative Rehabilitation, one of my favorite partners in the community because they have a heart to do the right thing, to ensure that our seniors are living their best life, right? And that's what we're all here for. I don't think that anyone can really understand what we're doing if they don't have the heart. Some people are in it for the money to see how many people can move into their community. And while we love for people to become neighbors at Pacifica Senior Living, our number one goal is to ensure that people have a quality of life, which is why we are partnering with community partners like Sobe Innovative Rehabilitation to make sure that that's happening. So now, Simone, tell me a little bit more about your connection with physical therapy.
Sure. When I was about 31 years old, I actually had a stroke. I had a stroke, and it was actually a mild TIA, and I actually lost the whole left side of my body. So for about 3 months, I actually had to go to physical therapy. I had to learn to walk again. You know, my face was very numb. My hand and my feet felt like they were sleeping 24/7. So I had to just follow the direction of the physical therapist, and they actually changed my life because I honestly thought I was going to be walking, you know, off because I felt like I was walking off. I felt like I was walking on needles. Right. You know, I felt like my face was just on fire, constantly on fire. My hands were constantly tingling, and, you know, and I was saying to myself, if you could just give me another, I was saying, God, if you could give me another chance, you know, to do this all over again, I want to make sure I do this right. And the therapist was like, just stop thinking about whatever's in your mind, just stop thinking about it and just do it. You know, bend your knee. And I used to always bend my knee, but I used to always use my right side more as opposed to my left side. And he said, no, do it equally. I want you to tell yourself that you need to do it equally. Just the steps. And, you know, him repeating things in my head over and over again. Because he says to me, at that time I had only 2 children. Now I have 3. But I had only 2 children. And my daughter was about 18 months old. And I couldn't even braid her hair. I couldn't do anything. Wow. You know, I had to depend on my husband at that time and my mom to do everything for me. Right. So it was truly difficult. And I made it. I honestly can tell you that I made it.
No, okay, so I have this thing. Yes, we're so glad that you made it, Simone. I did not know that. I didn't know that. So I have this thing when I hear about other people's medical experiences. You know, when a woman's pregnant, the husband gets sympathy, sleep, and cravings. Yeah, so I get sympathy like heart pains. When I hear about stuff, like I've been a part of some stroke awareness forums and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to listen to this, and then I have to pause because I'm like,
it's a little too much.
So that's what I'm going through right now. I am so glad that you are here and you're healthy, and that we are all here and healthy. And you would think that I had a stroke by the way that I'm talking today, but I'm healthy, guys. I promise. Okay. Alrighty. So thank you for that, Simone. That is a testament to therapy. And
Absolutely.
might I add, she was 31. So while we are here and our focus are our seniors and providing that quality of life, but everybody, this is applicable for everybody.
Yes.
So Google it. I am Dr. Google. So if you don't want to Google it, you can call Sobe Innovative Rehabilitation at 786-770-9480.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that what they should do?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you for having us.
today.
For having
And
us.
This was fun.
yeah, it
I
hasn't.
loved
And it doesn't have to be the only time. We're here every other Monday on Facebook Live, on your radio, on your Roku, on your Fire Stick, on your Instagram, on your all of those. And you just search AMP2 TV if anyone has any questions. So Pacifica Live, it will be on our pages shortly. As a matter of fact, you might be able to see some links today, but you can always go to AMP2 TV Productions on any of those platforms. If you're on Facebook, you can actually watch the replay. So what you're watching tonight, let's say you missed the first part of this show, you can go back and rewatch it. And you can go back and rewatch all of the shows that we show every other Monday, right?
Yes.
Did you guys have any parting words? Anything else you'd like to add before we end tonight?
I mean, of course, I can talk about this kind of stuff all night. I mean, you bringing up on a couple of different occasions, you know, quality of life.
Yes.
You know, and And it again goes to any physician that feels that therapy is not beneficial, then that term quality of life is so important. What
Absolutely.
defines quality of life more than having the independence to be able to walk to the bathroom by yourself? What defines quality of life better than having the independence to be able to dress yourself, to be able to walk outside and go to a restaurant with family, and again having the physical capabilities to
be able
do
to do
so.
that.
That's what quality of life means to us, and that's what our mission is to deliver to the residents and patients that we serve.
Thank you so much.
One other
And-
thing,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
go
that I
ahead.
just
No,
wanted
yes,
to add
of
real
course.
quick in regards to also hospice, because we do see a lot of our hospice patients, is what quality of life is it for a resident to be contracted in bed? Hospice doesn't mean terminal anymore. It's palliative care, monitoring the symptoms and making sure, that they are still able to do whatever they need to do. And what quality of life is it to have a resident in a bed unable to move for the last 3 years? Because
Yeah.
residents don't die within 6 months anymore.
Right.
You know?
Right. You guys, and so what this is an educational opportunity for you to be able to make that case, be your own advocate, even if you're
Yes.
talking with the doctor and the doctor feels like, oh, I don't think they would benefit from therapy. Make your case, because the doctor is writing those scripts for insurance purposes, right? We got to go through that continuum of care. Make your case. Be your own
Yes.
advocate.
Yes.
If you need to talk with Sobe Innovative Rehabilitation to get talking points, so we can pull that number
Yep.
up again for Sobe Innovative Rehabilitation. Say that 3 times fast. 786-770-9480. Guys, thank you again for joining Pacifica Live. I am
Thank
your host,
you.
Melinda Pollard, Director of Business Development with Pacifica Senior Living. We will see you not next Monday, but the following Monday right here at 7 p.m. Eastern. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Thanks for joining us here, Pacifica Live, hosted by Pacifica Senior Living. We come to you every other Monday at 7 p.m. So if you're joining us on Facebook, be sure to like and share.
Sponsored program are strictly those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily